I don't know why I just figured I could eat whatever I wanted to as long as I would exercise. That was like my whole motto. And so I was really into fitness, but I wasn't really into the other health aspects. And eventually I just started getting, sicker and sicker, and I started having issues. And then, I mean, it got to the point where I had inflammation all over my body. My joints hurt. I couldn't even use a remote control. I literally couldn't lift up a remote and change the channel. It hurt so bad. I couldn't walk for very long periods of time. And yeah, I mean, ultimately, I just lost my health. I started having like autoimmune issues causing this inflammation. I had these growths, like tumors throughout my body. What else did I have? I mean, obviously, I had the arthritic pain, my back, my neck, my shoulders, my wrists, my fingers. I mean, I was literally at a level 10 pain, like just as much pain as you can tolerate. And I couldn't even, it was so difficult just to get to the bathroom. And it was like the hardest thing you could imagine, the level of pain. Sometimes I would have to crawl on my elbows because I couldn't use my wrists and my hands because they hurt so bad. And even on my elbows, it was very painful. And I mean, it was just brutal, man. It was a really low point in my life. I don't want to get too emotional here. Um, I don't know. I just knew, I mean, the medical establishment certainly didn't have any answers for me. I had a lot of experience working in the medical system, so I kind of knew how it all worked. I still tried to go that route, but it didn't really do much good. They didn't really know what was going on for the most part. I mean, they could see that I had a heart issue. A heart condition wasn't causing these problems. I just felt like I needed to find, a solution to this because I just couldn't live like that. It was to the point where I wanted to end my life, and I was really, really withering away. I stumbled upon hydrogen, and I saw basically one of the first studies ever done on hydrogen, and I kept reading more and more about it. And it was I'm a big skeptic. So for the people who don't know me, I'm extremely skeptical of just about everything. And the hydrogen thing just seemed too good to be true. I didn't understand it. I thought it was a little bit of a scam. And I probably read the data for almost 4 years before ever trying it. And I was just getting so bad. I mean, I was withering away and I was in a lot of pain and life was really tough. And I'd pretty much lost everything. And so at that point, I was like, you know what? I got to try something. Where do I get this stuff? I mean, I can't go down to the corner drugstore and buy hydrogen. And there was some different machines out there that I'd found, but I wasn't really quite clear on the best way to make it, the best way to use it. And there was not really much consensus on that part. And I didn't understand that engineering was going to play a huge role. All these things that I didn't want to learn about, to be honest. I mean, I'm not an engineer, nor do I care to be an engineer. And I think engineers are cool and great and all that, but that's just not my forte. And engineering played such a big role. There's a ton of things to make hydrogen properly. It was the metal technology. So the science of metals is like extremely complex. Even to this day, we don't understand it completely. The science of water and how it's going to work with the metals was another bit. I mean, it just got so complicated. And to find the information, I couldn't find it. I mean, I was going on YouTube, seeing if anybody was talking about hydrogen. Nobody was talking about hydrogen. Researching led me to different routes, and I tried all sorts of machines. I mean, I've had numerous machines throughout the years. And it really wasn't actually, I mean, the best results I ever got were actually from the Japanese device. And I found that device because every single time you looked at a hydrogen device, they have like all these numbers. And then, of course, I realized that none of these machines were actually being lab tested. None of these machines were certified. And eventually, many years later, when I did see some testing of some of these devices, they weren't making the amounts of hydrogen that were being claimed. So all this stuff led me down a path of just massive amounts of research. I became quite, I don't want to say obsessed about hydrogen, but I was very passionate about it. And I began to be very, I began to fall in love with it. And when I say fall in love with it, I don't mean just because it was able to do what it did for me, but it's everywhere. I mean, our whole planet, it's covered. There's so much water on the planet, all these trees and plants and grass. I mean, they all have water. Obviously, water, the majority of water is made of hydrogen. And hydrogen is just a huge part of our lives, and it's a part of us, and it's a part of the cosmos, and it became actually something kind of spiritual. I mean, even our sun is primarily made of hydrogen. All these discoveries, and then finding out that it really appeared to me that it was a source of all life. And so it eventually led me, the numbers and the data led me to Japan. Obviously, Japan is number one in hydrogen. They're the ones who really got it going, all these medical studies already medically approved in that country. And then it led me to their number one device, of course, their number one device. And when something's number one in Japan, it's a big deal, because that's one thing that I've learned about their culture. But when I got the Hydrofix, I was really surprised, because I just thought, okay, here we go. Finally, a machine that's maybe going to be more reliable, which it was, make higher levels of hydrogen, which it did. And I just thought it was going to be a little better. And it offers the hydrogen gas inhalation. I didn't totally understand the importance of the purity just yet. I knew that it was important. I just didn't understand how difficult it is to make extremely high pure hydrogen. I mean, I needed open heart surgery. And my cardiologist told me, he's like, if you don't take care of this, it's going to kill you. Because he was telling me I probably had 10 years. And after using the hydrogen, it probably took about a good 6 months, I think, if I remember correctly. And I had gone back to the cardiologist, because they were doing a lot of testing. They were doing all sorts of tests on my heart to find out what we could do, how bad it was, blah, blah, blah. And who knows, maybe my heart, took a beating already, and who knows how much time I have per se. But what I can say is that after using that hydrogen for about 6 months and creating this kind of protocol and playing around with it, I've got better protocols now. But that machine is what made the difference, because my heart condition just disappeared, and no other machine did that. And I couldn't understand it. The cardiologist couldn't understand it. Like, how does your condition just disappear? It doesn't make any sense. I had that condition for at least 2 decades. I had that condition for a very long time, and I was ignoring it, just thinking that someday it would, like I said, just end my life and that'd be the end of it. Lo and behold, this ends up getting rid of it. And in time, there was people who had the same condition who did my same protocol, and their condition went away. So to see this little device do this was just absolutely mind-blowing. But in the end, it helped me. And then eventually it helped also my father. My father was a really big, how would I say, it really showed me that the power of hydrogen, because he didn't make all the changes that I made. He didn't change his diet. He didn't change his lifestyle. And yet it got, from high blood pressure to high cholesterol, glaucoma, diabetes, and arthritis. I mean, these conditions just going away in 6 to 8 months. Other than the glaucoma took 3 years. That was the only one that took longer. In fact, it was a really funny story, because I just thought it wasn't going to work for his glaucoma, because after 1 year of using hydrogen, he has to get his eyes checked every year. And they just said, oh yeah, you still got glaucoma, keep taking your medicine. And by the second year, I mean, this is 2 years of him using hydrogen and still testing positive for glaucoma. And I gave up at that second year. I thought, okay, it doesn't work for glaucoma, but you know what? It works for these other things, good enough. And it wasn't until the third year that he called me, and that's when I found out that his doctor had said, we don't show you have glaucoma anymore. This is not right. They thought they were making a mistake, so they ended up bringing him back, and he got tested multiple times. And in the end, his glaucoma was basically gone. And that blew me away, because he had that for like 30 years or more. And for his to just get better and then eventually go away. And of course, they didn't know what to think of it. So they said, look, we still want you taking your medicine, but we don't want you taking the levels that you're taking. They put him on the absolute most tiniest, most minimum dose. And that was just because they were scared. They said, we don't know what to think of this. We've never seen anything like this. Yeah, they were, like I said, they were concerned. They'd never seen anything like this. I mean, think about it. They'd never seen anything like this. This is not normal for somebody in their 70s who's had glaucoma for 3 decades or more, for their glaucoma to just go away. So it's pretty remarkable. That's when I really saw the power of this little device. Seeing, and that was just the beginning. I mean, the countless emails that I've had and people telling me all these stories of things that have happened to them has just been absolutely mind-blowing.